All right, and we're back. Thank you for joining us again on today's episode of Tales of a Wedding Planner. So, which story should we talk about today? As I mentioned, these are going to be entertaining. No names will be given, but this one is very near and dear to us. It's actually one of our first weddings that we did, and he is actually a local celebrity here in the Bay Area, and actually beyond now. Started his business here in the Bay Area, but has expanded rapidly. We were friends before. Anyway, now I can say that I was his planner as well. And let me tell you, as I was just starting out in business when this took place, and so a lot of the process was sort of, plan, do, review, and kind of fake it till you make it. And I appreciate him for trusting me. And I had done some weddings, so I did know what I was doing, but I did not expect for every single thing to go wrong. Like every single thing that could have went wrong. Let's just put it that way. So to kick this off, it was a 6-week window that I had of planning. I got a phone call and he said, "Hey, we'd love for you to help plan our wedding." Originally, it was more of a help. She was going to do what I was going to assist. It became very apparent that there was going to be more help that was needed. And we actually found out later that there were going to be 2 weddings. And so I had the joy of finding them a venue for 600 plus people for the first one. The morning of that event, because we found the venue, we found the caterer, and it was so funny. I remember the caterer said to me, it was a caterer that was like the #1 in San Francisco. Shout out to McCall's Catering for this. But we were going back and forth. It was right before the holiday. The event was supposed to be the second week of January. And the catering company said, "Christa, look, we hate your client at this point, but we like you. So we're going to make this happen. But we just want you to know, we don't like this guy." And to his credit, he is a foodie. He did have a lot of particulars. He's Muslim also, so we had to have halal meats, which wasn't that big of a problem for them, but one of those things that you just, you have to figure out how to navigate. He also used to bottle his own soda, and he had his own liquor license, so he wanted to provide his own soda, his own liquor. Anyway, long story short, we got past that. We made it happen. The day shows up, and we're at I'm actually getting ready to head there. And I get a phone call from the DJ, and he said, "There's a band here. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be in comparison to this band." Now, we never hired a band. I didn't. I wasn't involved in any hiring of a band. Come to find out, my client's mother, who I also knew, we had spent Thanksgiving at their house and some things prior to that. So I knew her, but ended up that she had hired a Pakistani band to play so that her culture could be included. I also found out that she had told family members that it was the wedding. Now, this was sort of not supposed to be a wedding. This is more of like an engagement party, pre-wedding party. And then a couple weeks later would be the actual wedding, which was a lot less people. So coming into it, I had to navigate that. I also had to be respectful of the fact that Mama wanted the band. My client wanted the DJ that he paid for. I believe the band did about 2 or 3 songs without trying to pull a fast one on me, because they assumed I didn't speak the language, which I don't, but I could definitely tell when the music changed. And so it was very, very interesting. So we got through that. Also, the couple greeted every single guest as they arrived and took a picture. So for the first hour and a half, 2 hours, was literally them taking a receiving line of pictures with every single guest. And again, that one was like 600. So that was the first one. So then we go through a week later, we have a little bit of things to plan for. Now, one thing I didn't mention is when they called me and asked if I would help plan the wedding, they also didn't tell me the 2 venues that they had already committed to without a professional's opinion. Now, mind you, this is January. This is the Bay Area. It is not that warm in January. And they chose the Palace of Fine Arts, which, if you're not familiar, it is a dome that has some pillars. It's got some really great architecture. It's a little man-made lake there. It's really close to the water, kind of in the Marina district of San Francisco. So it is chilly. It can get chilly. It's completely outdoors. And then they also picked the San Francisco Zoo, which apparently is not really in season in January, again, because it's cold and it's on the water. So I said, cool, no problem. So in preparation for, what are we going to do if it's a bad weather type of day? We ordered heaters for the Palace of Fine Arts. We had to get the fire marshal to hang out with us for the day because of that. We also ordered custom blankets that had their name on them. They rolled up into this really cool little holder. We ordered custom umbrellas that had a caricature of the couple on them. It was super cool, and actually it fit with their invitations that they sent out, so it was really, really neat. And what I did not account for was the fact that that morning it would be spitting rain, which meant every single chair was wet. And when I say wet, I'm not just saying like a little damp, like wet. Like I couldn't find enough paper towels to take care of it. So last minute in that scenario, we actually had to have everybody stand around the couple. Their officiant was somebody who's kind of well known also. And I didn't realize that in the audience there were as many celebrities as there were. I got the pleasure of meeting Festus Ezeli from the Warriors, who played on the Warriors at the time. Also, I had to tell Ronnie Lott to come join the rest of the party and to not sit off to the side. And I admit I did not know who Ronnie Lott was. And also didn't care because my job again is to be the wedding planner. So I don't care if you're Festus, I don't care if you're Ronnie, like need you to get it together. Just a little testament to who I am if you're not if you're just tuning in, you haven't seen some of these. But anyway, so we made a love circle around the couple. And also this space is public space. So not only did we have to navigate the fact that fire marshal, the Parks and Rec, the load in of the vendors and all of these things, but we also had people that were just wandering around because it's public space. And what was funny is in the middle of the ceremony, we had some tourists from another country. I think they were from an Asian country, but they didn't understand what was happening. So they were taking pictures, naturally. And I had to explain to them, please be quiet, stop talking. This is a wedding, and also move, like, please leave. So we handled all of that. We end up heading to the reception venue, and I realized that the grandma got left behind somewhere, and then her oxygen tank also got left behind. So we had to navigate that a little bit, but we head over to the zoo, and we are having cocktail hour in the lion's den in the zoo, which you kind of have to walk all the way through the zoo towards the back. I told all the guests, go to cocktail hour. Everybody was there. The couple was taking pictures with the animals. Turned out really, really cool. They have some great photos with the giraffes. Like they're feeding giraffes in their wedding dress. Pretty neat. Anyway, but as I was walking through to go to the lion's den, I was walking past and the lights started to flicker in the zoo. And it became almost pitch black. It was January. It was dark already by 5 o'clock. And I said, that's strange. And I asked the people working at the zoo, and they said, oh, no, we're trying to actually just, we're getting the power back on. Don't worry about it. I said, okay, fine. So we continue on. And we get into the lion's den, and I'm sort of just checking on things and mingling around. And it ends up that the lights flicker again. In my mind, I was thinking, oh, crap, if that's a power outage, like these gates, like, I'm thinking like totally along the lines of Jurassic Park style, where it's like the gates open and all of a sudden the lions are everywhere. And so I freaked out. I panicked. I started to go back to the main area. I was trying to find somebody from the zoo, and I start walking, and this guy jumps out in front of me, and he's like, hey, you should be careful where you're going. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is freaking Jurassic Park. Oh my God. I walked through the zoo in pitch black. I was freaking out. I get to the main venue, and the power is out. The power is done. And everybody that worked at the zoo apparently was from a different zoo because we were not in season in San Francisco. So they shipped these people in from part of the zoo community. I don't know, but nobody really knew what was going on. But I demanded that they find a generator, which they did. Catering told me that everything was fine, that the food wasn't, nothing was going to be going bad there. We lit all the candles in the space. Luckily, the DJ that we had also played trumpet, so he was able to play trumpet. People walked through the zoo in the dark holding candles. Nobody really knew what happened. They just thought it was kind of like the fun of walking through the zoo. And it ended up that, everything kind of went off without a hitch from there. I would say the food was kind of maybe messed with a little bit because of that issue. We had some other celebrities show up, which was fun. We had Man versus Food there. It was just a great day. And at the end of it all, what was funny is, my client leaves, he takes off, they go on their honeymoon right away. And I end up getting a phone call a couple weeks later, and it was the San Francisco Chronicle newspaper. And they said, we're doing an interview on his story, but we can't reach him. He had actually gone to New York to the Super Bowl and got snowed in, so nobody could reach him. But it ended up that I had to help write the story for the newspaper. And I found out later that the couple didn't even realize that most of that had happened. So score to me, that is a testament for my very first wedding, for the fact that I dealt with literally everything that could have went wrong. Power outage, rain. There was a glimpse of sunshine during the ceremony, which was fantastic. First wedding, dealing with different cultures, dealing with, mothers-in-laws. Anyway, it was fantastic. I love the fact that there were celebrities there. I love that it made it in the newspaper. I think it was really a catalyst. But I always joke with that one because I can't think of one other thing we could have prepared for that could have happened. And it's just kind of why I love what I do. So that was one of the stories that set off this idea on today's episode of Tales of a Wedding Planner. What are we going to hear? I don't know. The wedding season is coming up. We've got a lot more. Stay tuned. And until then, stay magnificent.